Well, welcome to the show. It's week number 3 of 3HL Weekly. I'm longtime Toronto sportscaster Joe Tilley, joined, of course, as always, by Justin Fox, the founder and president of the 3HL, 3-on-3 Talk Hockey. We're talking it all the time. And some interesting news, Justin. You sent me out a posting about about something called fan-controlled football and how it relates to the 3HL. Tell us a little bit about that correlation.
So the Fan Control Football League, I don't know exactly. It's funny. I was looking it up. Someone actually sent that note to me as well. I'd heard about it maybe a year or so ago, but essentially they've just raised, I think, $40 million. They're going into season 2. But the premise is that it's a crypto-based fan-controlled football league where, I think in the article that I just forwarded to you, people that own the Bored Ape yacht clubs and different things are now sort of this NFT concept. People are starting to see how this can play out in sports leagues. And so I've been working on this type of concept for 3 years now. And that's what Backers is. And that's what Backers was created to do, was create these fan owned. And now the concept is evolved into owned and operated leagues where the fans not only have a small piece like in a publicly traded company, but now have actual voting control over maybe not every day-to-day operation or every day-to-day aspect of the business, but have control over, a large majority of the let's say at the managerial control, right? So
Right.
Voting on maybe who the employees are, who the staff are, who the management is, debating whether contracts can, should be jumped in or not, or should be taken advantage of or not, or given to certain players. I'm going to jump in. We have a special guest. I know we were kind of
let's
hesitant.
Bring him in.
There we go. There we go, Bernie. Hey, I love it. We got to represent here. Represent yours. Represent. There we go.
That's right.
How's it going, Bernie?
Good. How you guys doing?
All
Good,
right.
good.
Well, welcome to the show, Bernie.
Welcome to the show. Yes.
Who don't recognize our man Bernie Nichols here? He is the man who scored 70 goals for the Los Angeles Kings, a veteran of the NHL, a guy who should be in the Hockey Hall of Fame, and we're pushing in that direction to get you there, Bernie. Longtime NHL veteran. I want to bring you in here to talk, Bernie, about the excitement of 3HL as a former player, 3-on-3 hockey.
Okay. Trying to get
A quiet spot. Got it.
trying to get a quiet spot. So
Yeah, Bernie, we were just talking about the fan-owned football league. I sent a link to the group there. But yeah, just this whole notion or concept of, the exciting 3-on-3, but having the fans really being engaged or involved. I mean, you talk about, you're involved in a couple different gambling or betting type environments, right? So that's definitely a way to engage fans, but the ability to really get a fan owned and operated, or in this case, fan controlled league, that's really what we're growing here with the 3HL.
well, I think I mentioned it the other day. It should be similar to like hometown hockey.
Yeah.
I've been involved in 2 of them because they had it in my hometown, and then they went to Kingston, where I played junior, and they make a weekend out of it. And It's for the kids. There's activities for them to do every day. And I think something like that would work out perfectly with plenty of notice, and you make a weekend out of it. And then you got the fans, especially in that little community or whatever city we're in, come and get to participate and do different events. I think that's a perfect way of going about it.
Yeah, so go ahead, Joe. Sorry,
I was just going to say, I like the Rogers hometown hockey way to do things, like, really getting the community involved and really getting the kids into it and bringing it home at that level. I wanted to think, so Bernie, the question I wanted to ask you though too is, 3-on-3 hockey. I mean, when you played, you didn't have a lot of 3-on-3 opportunities, but there is that in the game today. What do you think it's like for a player, an aspiring young player? There's going to be some players, Justin and I touched on this before, that are really suited for a 3-on-3 game.
Yeah.
And tell us about that.
Like I probably played my whole career maybe a couple times where you'd have a 3-on-3 situation, right? But I've said this different times. I think the NHL has done that so right now with the 3-on-3. It's probably the most exciting part of the game. Anytime it's tied late in the third period, you're just hoping that it gets to 3-on-3. And you're looking for teams like we watched Colorado the other night. It was actually Colorado and Toronto had a 3-on-3. Or you get Edmonton, or you get a team that has just some serious talent. To get 6 players like that on the ice at one time, I don't know any hockey fan. If they couldn't enjoy that, then you just don't enjoy hockey, because there's nothing more exciting than that. It's fun to watch. Even the All-Star game now, when they do the 3-on-3, I think that was really good. I've been involved in a couple of them, and it's 5-on-5, and as much as it's not real competitive, just because no body contact or anything like that, or there shouldn't be. So to open it up more like that, to make it more offensive like that, I think the players like it more, and I'm sure the fans do too.
Yeah, and I think it gets more competitive, doesn't it, when it's 3-on-3, because you got an opportunity more so to show your skills. The old 5-on-5, go through the motions, no body checking, everybody agrees, we're not going to hurt ourselves here. But when you open up the ice, there's not going to be a lot of checking anyway.
No.
So when you got guys who have that open ice, that's when the skills of the players is really on display, isn't it?
Yeah, you eliminate and it's too bad, right? Because there's some good defensive players that probably would be in it, but because it's just strictly 3-on-3, all offense, it's just offensive skill on display for sure.
Here, I just pulled this up. Here's some 3-on-3 action. Whoop. Is it not showing it?
No, we lost it. It's okay. So yeah, but it's tough. Going back again to the 3-on-3 aspect of it from a player's viewpoint, from a fan's viewpoint, it's a pretty exciting thing. And what we were talking about earlier, Bernie, is we were talking about this investment that the fan-controlled football league is getting from cryptocurrency. They just got a $40 million influx of capital from investment from crypto. They've got some NFT organizations owning the teams, and it's kind of a new wave of money coming in this cryptocurrency world, and it's kind of exciting when you think about the opportunities here for the 3HL.
I didn't even hear that. Sorry about that. I don't know if it's my phone.
Oh, it could be me.
I can hardly hear you. Like
Okay,
I've never heard of that league starting or whatever either. But
so they're in their second year basically. What happened is the concept of what we're doing with the 3HL is kind of the same as what they're doing, where you're allowing essentially ownership of the teams. To be owned by the community, right? So now you've got thousands of team owners in each community that are now owning it through the use of a cryptocurrency. So the cryptocurrency, instead of having Bitcoin, it would be Barrie Colts, right? And so it's the exact same thing. So now if you own Barrie Colts token, right, you now own a piece of ownership in the Barrie Colts, or in the Toronto Bees, let's say, which is a 3HL team. So the Toronto Bees token, or TBT, would be a cryptocurrency that would now be owned by the fans. That currency would also allow those fans, would give them access or rights, or voting or control, depending on how down the spectrum you want to go, to actually influence as much or as little of the of the operation of the team, as well as to get benefits of things like promos, different things. You can also add in a gambling or betting aspect to it. So now you've got fans that own a crypto that represents their team. So we called it Toronto Bees token. That represents ownership in that team. So the value of that token rises or goes down or up based on the value of that team and the performance of that team and the underlying aspect of that team. and then ownership of that token gives you rights and access to certain, benefits, VIP type things, whether it's merchandise or different, free or discounted, seats or whatever it might be. And it also gives you access or control over the day-to-day operations. So it becomes this, really this, and people are using NFTs because they're trying to skirt securities laws to get around it. But it really becomes a way to really engage the fans. So you've got, the fun community events on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, as the events are playing out on the ice in each community as we roll through, each town. But now you've got the actual control and ownership of the teams held by the fans, right? And that's kind of what Backers was created to do, right? Backers is a crypto launchpad that allows for a company, which in this case is a team, to issue a cryptocurrency that represents ownership in their business.
Now, what team or what league have they done that with?
That's what we were just talking about. There's an a football league in the US that's now going into season 2 that allows this. So with the 3HL, that's kind of the concept that we've been working on for 3 years.
That might be Damon Allen has come up. He might be one of the owners in one of those, because he asked me about that.
I just sent a message to you guys, I guess. Yeah, it's kind of interesting though.
But he said that it works with you buy a team, but you can use legend players. You create your own team, and I guess you can sell your teams and stuff like that. You can be team owners. I wouldn't doubt if that's similar to what you're talking.
Well, that sounds like more of a video game. No, this is like an actual live action football league, right? It's called the Fan Controlled Football League. I believe that's what it's called. The fan controlled. So it's like the TFCFL
and
or FCFL.
Do that legally? Like,
yeah,
there's no gambling involved in it.
That's what Backers is. That's literally what Backers was created to do, to mint those tokens. So they use, in our case, we would be using regulated security tokens that would be issued through a regulated dealer through the Ontario Securities Commission. So we would literally be issuing regulated securities as ownership in those teams in the form of a cryptocurrency.
So what would the difference of that be, and then about All Sports Market?
So that I don't know exactly how the underlying model, and I mean I was at the OSC with you guys 3 or 4 years ago, and I mentioned that you guys should look at more the regulated side versus the gambling side.
We're not on the gambling side.
No, it was more on a derivative side. So
that's right.
Right. But, so I had mentioned the whole concept of selling a security, right, was what Backers was doing, and that could be the direction that All Sports went in. I think there was sort of the understanding that you guys were trying to create a derivative, and then you weren't actually selling direct ownership in the business, right? So that's sort of interesting.
Because we couldn't sell shares in the Toronto Maple Leafs.
No, so you would create a derivative of it.
But we create a platform where, you can own a piece of the Toronto Maple Leafs just in this, and everything works the same way. You're buying stocks in it, but you just don't have shares in the Leafs per se.
Yeah.
Like Green Bay Packers are the only publicly traded sports team there is. So
exactly,
I don't know how you can do this without the league permission, for one, right?
We are the league. That's the cool thing, right?
Okay, you're the league here, but you said an NFL team. You couldn't do this with the NFL or the NHL, where people
they could if they weren't publicly traded companies. The
Maple Leafs isn't publicly traded.
Yeah, MLSE is. They're held by a publicly owned and not publicly traded corporation.
Okay, the New York Yankees are not, and the New York Rangers are not.
So they could tokenize their assets, and they could mint their own cryptocurrency and create their own security token. Yes,
like this.
That's literally what Backers has been doing. I'll throw the logo up there just so everyone can see what we're talking about. That's literally what we've been creating with Backers.
Back in a call with the ASM group.
Yeah, I presented the concept of backers to them when we went to the OSC that one time about
Yeah.
the concept of actually creating like direct ownership, right? And it's an actual security token that represents direct ownership. So we use the term with backers, private is the new public, meaning no business really needs to go public. You can issue private securities in any jurisdiction across North America, at least, and you can raise any amount of money. There's really no cap on how much you can raise, and you can now have a privately held company with a publicly traded security token on an exchange like backers.
Very cool.
Right. So now with backers, obviously we go out into the broader market and allow for any business to actually, issue these tokens. Right. So what happened in 2012, let's say, Vitalik Buterin, Canadian kid, he wrote the white paper for Ethereum, essentially stating, you've got Bitcoin with its blockchain underlying technology, distributed ledger, but they were going to add these smart contracts, essentially programmable rules or instructions on these tokens, right? So now you could, with Bitcoin, it's just buy, sell, right? It's just a ledger, transactional ledger, who bought, who sold. With Ethereum now, you have these smart contracts that you can build in all these different rules and regulations. So what we've done with backers is we've taken that token, that tokenization of the asset with the underlying rules and regulations written into the token. And now instead of issuing a share certificate, a paper-based share certificate, again, the idea came from the Green Bay Packers. When I was looking at this in 2015, instead of having a share certificate, now they're issued a security token. So it's a digital representation of the actual, share or stock in that private company. And now I hold it on my digital wallet. We can take it the next step with the 3HL. We're going to do this where people can now own actual pieces of the 3HL as in the form of a cryptocurrency or security token. And now we take it one step further. Ownership of that token gives you other access, other rights. So whether we embed some sort of remuneration, in the form, almost like gambling, but you're getting a dividend back when they win, or you can get into things like VIP type things of free merchandise or discounted merchandise, or whether maybe it's discounted tickets to events, whatever it is. And then the third aspect is allowing them to actually have, call it voting control. And this is where the blockchain, one of its biggest use cases is voting control, where now you can just on a simple app say, hey, we're doing this to all the fans that own this token, send them a notification, say, hey, should we hire this GM, or should we do this, or should we do that, or should we, what should our new logo be, or what should our new colors be, or should we change our team name, or we're thinking of migrating from this community to this community. Maybe we started in Tillsonburg or Leamington, but we want to move to a bigger venue or bigger community so that we can have more support. We're going to move to London or Toronto or New York City, whatever, right? All those are just nuanced votes, but all those can now be controlled, or some of them can be controlled by this popular vote of the fan-owned team.
Right. It can start with name the team.
Well, exactly. It can start with we can start anywhere, right? It can start with, even if there's going to be a team in that community, right? Let's buy 1,000 coins of a team, and let's pick where that team's going to be, right? And you could start going. There's a million ways you can kind of start it out, but I think it's sort of like, hey, we're going to put a team in this community. What are we going to do next, right? And then what are we going to do next, and what are we going to do next?
Oh, it's an interesting concept, and it's totally foreign to what we've seen before.
Yeah,
that's for sure. Imagine. Just saying with Bernie, like imagine having a general manager who is 1,000 fans.
Well, I don't know if you, and this is some of the sports heads, if you will, have put in this thing of, we talked about this the other day, owners meddling in the day-to-day operations of a sports team, right? I brought up the Sacramento Kings owner, kind of meddling there's a video of him
Harold
meddling in
Ballard.
the draft, right?
Right.
Yeah, we talked about some of the the old hockey greats that have meddled in the management of the team. I don't know if you want to get in, and obviously you can't control the on ice play. I mean, the players are going to go out and do what they got to do, right? But I think there's definitely areas of the team that typical ownership groups might control, where now you hand that over to the fans. Are we?
What do you think? What do you think,
Bernie's thinking there. He's like, wait a second.
No, it sounds great. It really
It's a lot
does.
to take in. It's a lot to take
Trying to
in.
figure
for
out how
sure,
to do it. That's all. I'm good.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's I mean, that's where Backers comes in, right? Backers
Yeah.
is we're building out this tokenization of assets platform, right? And everyone thinks cryptocurrency is Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is one of probably 10,000 so-called cryptocurrencies out there. And I would say 95% of them are not actual currencies per se, but more ownership tokens in a project, right? So they're more, whether they're an actual security or not remains to be seen. And they're people are arguing utility tokens and different aspects of it. And I mean, I'm not going to get into everything about blockchain, but and crypto, but that's essentially what Backers. So 5 years ago, I identified the idea of having team or community owned teams as being the way forward for the 3HL. I then started Backers when I identified that cryptocurrency was the easiest way to facilitate that team or that community owned aspect, because traditional software, if you will, is expensive, costly, can be altered. So there's a lot of corruption that can happen with blockchain and cryptocurrency. A lot of those costs are reduced. The immutability and the security of the token on the blockchain alleviates corruption and bad actors, and really allows for much more seamless approach, right? So now you have the Toronto Bees owned by 1 million fans in Toronto. Each of them have one token, let's say.
Voting share.
Yeah, right. And when the Toronto Bees win, we'll have some sort of trickle down that will benefit, that will go to those shareholders in the form of whatever that is, right? So and that's, so there's money, there's kind of benefit or economic value coming in through the form of sponsorships and ticket sales and merchandise and all these different business aspects. And then they're flowing through the players and the fans, right? So now you've got this, I mean, the concept is play to earn on video games, but literally the players will be playing to earn. They'll hold a token and they'll hold it in perpetuity. So if you play, you'll get issued a token. That token then will be valuable in and of itself and will provide more value as that team progresses and money flows through it. So now past players will still benefit from current performances on that team. So it's kind of cool to get in early and be an early adopter as a player, and you'll get tokens and you'll be able to earn more today than maybe the people that earn tokens 10 years from now when they're playing, right? So it's almost the inverse of what happened in most pro sports, where older players kind of got less than what their younger counterparts have gotten, right? So it'll be interesting how we roll this all out. Obviously with Backers, we've been working on this for 3 years now to build out these tokens, these smart contracts, and really build up the infrastructure so that we can roll it out with the 3HL.
Well, it's exciting stuff. I mean, to me, that potential is there for some pretty big stuff, and it's next level stuff is what it is. It's really, top of the food chain when it comes to crypto and the changing universe that we're in, and it's pretty exciting. It's cool.
Yeah. Bernie, so I know I can see the thoughts spinning there. We should talk off
different teams and stuff, or different leagues that you could like.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I know I played with Brent Sutter. He runs the Western Hockey Junior League.
Yeah.
Out west, I'm friends with David Branch here for the OHL, but I don't know. I think there's so many leagues that you could hit with that.
Yeah, with backers, I mean, that's the whole idea. We want to, I mean, we were going to go out with this whole sports focus. It just seemed like the sports world was not ready to adopt it 3 years ago. So we kind of looked at, traditional entrepreneurs and saying, hey, you want to raise capital, this is how you do it. But that's exactly what backers is. And we're going to, the 3HL will be the sort of the test ground, the use case to show how it all works. And then the 3HL becomes the, the default league that's using this concept.
And how about like the Ontario or the Canadian Basketball Association?
Yep.
That would help them raise money too, right?
Yeah, for sure.
See, I know the guy who runs that, or
Mike
even
Morelli.
the CFL, anything here in Canada to help, right?
Yeah.
I've worked with the Canadian or the CFL people too. So I think especially the Canadian.
Yeah, there's a lot of
leagues
potential.
need
Holy
help
crap.
with money.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's the whole concept of backers, right? Is this ability to tokenize the asset, whatever that is, which is typically the ownership in a corporation, right? You can also do, units in a fund. So real estate is another area where this is prominent or can be utilized. But yeah, in the sporting world, instead of just having sort of like, rewards or, fan-based points or whatever, it's actual hard ownership in a private company that's tokenized. And now the tokenization, what it does is it puts it on the blockchain. So again, the security, the immutability, all that's there. But it also now makes it a lot easier to flow from one to the other, right? So you can have that tradability amongst fans, right? So it really becomes, like a secondary stock exchange with these privately held companies. Again, exactly what we've been building with backers over the past, sort of 3 years. We've actually issued the backers security token, our cryptocurrency, which is the BKRS token, backers token. And so that's, we're selling that right now on the backers site. We're just kind of rolling through that a little bit, but people can now invest in the backers platform, which is the underlying, if you will, launchpad incubator of all of these, these cryptocurrencies in Canada, these regulated cryptocurrencies.
So the 3HL is going to be the proving ground for all of this stuff. Which is going to, I'm assuming this is going to be big. I mean, it's going to change the way we look at a lot of different
everything
sports for sure. And like, as Bernie alluded to, I mean, it can help CFL, it can help junior hockey, it can help a lot of different aspects of it. And it could be really, really big. And it's exciting to be part of this. And I think next time let's get into this a little bit further in this part of it, this part of the business model. We should try to do that.
Yeah, definitely. One of the things I want to talk sort of, I guess if we're looking at sort of the concept of the 3HL, right? You've got, if we have 64 teams, that's 64 different tokens, right? So you've got 64 fan bases that can now buy in, thousands of them, tens of thousands of them, millions of fans on each token, right? And each token can be worth, whatever, 1 cent, 10 cent, $1, it doesn't matter per token, right? And so that team can now go out, sell this cryptocurrency token, security token to the fans, raise the capital. So that initial influx of money comes into the team. And now the fans are rewarded with their support and engagement, and they actually are owners and operators of the team, right? So it's now you've got 64 currencies on the 3HL exchange, right? And you've got, that's right. It's really the model. And I know you're the all sports market model. Right. It really should have been crypto based and securities based, right?
That's taking your fantasy. That's taking your
fantasy to the next level. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. You kind of cut out there. You okay? Yeah. Are you okay, Joe?
Right. But that's taking that fantasy to the next level. I mean, this is taking it to the next level. Where I might be cut out, but anyway, it's taking it to next level. I don't know if you guys can hear me or not, but
You're cutting in and out. You're cutting in, but yeah, it's going to take fantasy sports to the next level. Now it's not just a matter of, you know, in one case you're kind of, you know, playing fantasy sports against, you know, with a roster that you've devised yourself. Now you're literally, as a fan, an part owner of a team, and you control and operate the day-to-day activities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Incredible. It's great. Next level. Beautiful.
That's it. And you know what? If you want to all sports, we should talk about that, because same thing. I mean, this is what I was trying to say with Jason. Oh, did we lose Joe? I was trying to say with some other people there that, you know, if you take the crypto aspect and you tokenize the underlying security of a team, now you have that similar to what you guys were trying to sort of build out, but now you actually have ownership. And here, I'll give you another example, just to kind of throw I came across this thing. I forget the exact name. I think it's called the Klaus Club or Kraus Club. They have what's called the flight paper, which is kind of a play on words for a white paper. Essentially, what they're doing is they're creating what's called a decentralized autonomous organization, or a DAO. They are now raising money for that DAO from fans, and their goal is to go out and buy an NBA team.
I think it'd be great for Canadian Basketball League and the junior hockey. I think it'd be great. I think we can do something there.
And the 3HL as well. All three of them.
That's a given.
That's the given, right? Yeah, but for sure, the other ones, I mean, I think the model can be used across the board, right? And as a fan, you might hold 100 different tokens, right? Or 50 different tokens, every sort of affinity or, that you have, right? Or you mentioned that you're, alumni of the Kingston Frontenacs, obviously LA Kings, Oilers, alumni of, grew up here, that, they've got all these different affinities. You could have 100 different tokens, one for each team you support or organization that you're a part of.
I wonder if we talked to Glenn Healy. He's runs the NHL players alumni. Like, that would be something that he could do for all the alumni teams around, players around the league.
Yeah. There's a million and one ways this can be. I'm glad that it's sparking some thoughts there, because this is kind of the excitement I've had with this for 3 or 4 years, basically. 5 years now, 6 years. I don't know. Time flies. What year are we in again? 20? Is it 2000? Is it 2020, or where are we? I don't know.
There you go.
But yeah, anyways, 2022. So yeah, since 2015, I mean, this has kind of been what we've been working on with backers and, sort of in the background to build out for the 3HL. Cool. Well, we lost Joe.
Yeah.
Bernie, I appreciate you joining me. I know, I love the background there. You and your, are those some of the deer you've hunted?
Yeah. I got those ones over there, a little bigger.
Oh, there you go. Sweet. Cool. Well, lots of them, eh? Are you going out this afternoon?
All right, bud.
Is it cold out there?
Pardon?
Is it cold up there still?
Oh, fuck yeah. Terrible.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, we'll talk. Okay. Awesome. Thanks, bud.
Thanks.